What's up, my friends? It is Jason Morris. I am back and I'm going to teach you something a little bit about ND filters and landscape photography. I got some of these ND filters off eBay. I'll put the link in the description below. Whole bunch of ND filters with gradients, different colors. You can see here we've got some purples, some greens. They are probably one of the best things you can actually do to increase better quality on your landscape photography. Now I'll show you how this works. Got a lens and you've got the ring filters. So when you got your lens, you got the ring filters. It all has different diameters. You put them onto the lens. Then you've got these specific sliders that you can slide it directly over, and then you place the ND filter into the slot so you can adjust whatever filter you want. Let's go outside. We're gonna have a bit of a play around with the ND filters, bring it back into the studio, and I'm gonna show you some Lightroom tricks that's really gonna up your landscape photography game. Okay, we are back and I'm going to show you what I do for my landscapes. Now, I'm not much of a landscape photographer, but I'm going to edit this photo right here and I'm going to show you what I can do with this photo. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to play around with the highlights, bring up the shadows, try and create more detail, bring up the contrast, make it real punchy, and then bring down the blacks, and you can see that makes a massive effect. So the kind of mood that I'm going for is a bit of a dark and gloomy sort of mood, because that's the type of day it was. We'll bring up a little bit of the vibrance and push up a little bit of clarity onto that. It's starting to come across pretty well. Come down to the tone curve. So now bring up a little bit of highlights. No, probably don't need to bring up the highlights because I want a little bit darker. We'll bring up the lights though and then bring down the blacks. That'll probably make it a bit more moody. Bring up a little bit of the shadows. That's starting to look really good there. Just increase that sharpness. And then that sharpness brings out a little bit of noise. So you just bring up the noise reduction there. I can bring up to about 100% and that smooths it out a bit. Sometimes you don't want to bring up to 100% because it can look a little bit too smooth and slightly off focus. I'll enable the profile corrections, mainly just for the lens. You can see here it's shown what type of lens I had, the 24-70 Tamron 2.8. And is there any chromatic aberration? Yes, there is. So see these purple lines here along the edge? That's called chromatic aberration. That's from the lens there. So if you just click that button, that should remove it. Yeah, that removes it. That's pretty good. Okay, so we'll bring some vignetting in. Jeez, that's not much vignetting, but that looks pretty good. Now, one of the other things that I want to go through is, where is it? Split toning, there we are. So I'm going to bring up the mood, try and make it a bit orange, yellowy orange, there. Can't really, I'll try and find the orange. There. And then you just bring it down, maybe 20%. Because I'm going to bring some blues into it with this grading here. So I'll make one of the corners relatively dark. Bring down the exposure, probably by a whole stop, I think, roughly. And we'll bring the temperature down so it's on a darker blue shade. Going to do another one just at the top here. Coming down on that angle. A little bit darker. Half a stop. Oh. Yeah, half a stop looks good. Let's bring it back to neutral. Slight blue shading in that one. That looks good. So see how I like to keep it dark in one corner and try and brighten it up in the other. It just brings a little bit more mood into the photo. So we're going to play around with this tool here, the dodge and burning. So that's going to create more spot adjustments. So if you bring it down like this, you want to make sure the invert mask is on, the feathering up is at 100%. Then we're going to bring the exposure down. You can see that darkens that one spot. It's going to create a little bit more shadowing underneath that jetty there. Just a bit more dynamic. A bit more shadowing there as well. I might duplicate that one and bring it across this side. You see the buildings have got a little bit of that too, so going to bring it across and decrease the exposure there. Duplicate that, bring it over to this building, and I'll bring it over to this building as well. That's starting to come across quite a nice gradient. What I'm going to do with this gradient, I reckon we could do that. Drop the exposure down. Brings a bit more mood into the center, and I'll also put a slight blue tinge to it. And with the overall color, I might actually bring up the temperature. So it's starting to make it a little bit more moody in the middle and darken on the outside. So that's how that looks at the moment. Looks pretty good. Zoom in. It's quite sharp, which is good. It's a little bit dark under there. I could probably bring that up just a touch in this part right there. Just increase the exposure a touch. Maybe bring up the shadows on that part. Small adjustments. And we're looking pretty good. There we go. That's a basic landscape adjustment in Lightroom. You can see the before and after. It's kind of washed out there, and you just bring a little bit more mood into it, which looks pretty cool. So yeah, there you go. That's how I pretty much edit my landscapes. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Obviously photography is subjective, so it all depends on what looks best in your eye. Yeah, please like, subscribe to my channel, and watch out for my next video. Thanks guys, I'll see you next time.